Ah, so we now learn something. You and Sinclair satisfied yourselves based on a photo that is a human bone, but the local authorities satisfied themselves that it isn't. Therefore, you argue that you have a green light to do whatever you want. Is that accurate? Perhaps if the photo is so convincing, you should let the world see it. I would be willing to bet that you were not looking at a genuine photo of a giant human bone. You did, after all, identify brass on your emerald sword as gold. Reality, the very large bones are going to prove to be not human, and therefore any activity at the site is a non-issue.
Heck, even if they insist the large bones are from a giant human, the fact that they aren't still exonerates them from actually doing wrong. Sensationalism and bad science. This is necessary to satisfy the followers of alternative history. At the end of the excavation, these gentlemen will have committed multiple offenses, without ever touching a human bone.
Andy, this is for you and Jason, I guess, but this may help. As each of you relish in those who make snarky or crude comments about me work or Scott's work, you might even like to say that we're just in it for the bucks, or so, but you'd be missing the real point of the whole exercise. You see, we stay out in social media and talking about history, and get the truth out for many reasons. Well, the main one is people already fully believe and acknowledge that history has issues and such is written wrong. But here's what you miss, and this is the most important. We're creating a path to us. Why? The discoveries these days are not going to be made by an exo-archaeologist or an anthropologist. There's no exploration money for them. They are locked to their desks, but however, we create a path to us. And we have the time, the money, the expertise to do the work. Thus, when someone finds an amazing find on their land, they call us, not the system. And as such, we come into it first, and we get the highest academic teams. There's the single biggest point you and your fellows took to attacking us, when yet we are your future and publishing salvation as exo-archaeologists and anthropologists. The finds come to us, and we fund the finds, science and documentation, but you can never be on that, as we should call the work with us. Why? You chose to attack instead of seeing us as the ally and funnel for finds and funds we are. Thus, as we make these things public, the better way, there are other exo-archaeologists and anthropologists who do not attack us, and sit and wait and work with us in a friendly manner. It is those people who will go down with huge discoveries in academic circles. It is because they embrace us and worked with us. You are missing the real ship by attacking, when you should be thankful the public comes to us and we're the new gatekeepers. You're playing the wrong cards. Accept us for what we are, not the replacement for exo-archaeology or anthropology, but the ones who network the finds and bring the funds, and we do it all together. I hope Andy and or Jason get to name a single scientist that made a great discovery because they worked with you with your resources. I read about our discoveries and the fact that these discoveries are being made at simple sites like Bunnell Orchard under the slow process of tried and true methods. Great discoveries are what we learn collectively from the sum information of all of the individual discoveries. There's no shortcut that money will fund. Michael, you're ducking the questions again. There's nothing new from you. Anyone who pays attention has seen it many times. You are way off in your summation, as usual. Your comments do not match reality. To those of us who have followed you, this is no surprise. Not only have you not discovered anything of importance, I've yet to hear you even articulate a definition of science that is anywhere near correct. I have yet to see any indication that you understand even the most basic principles of the things you claim to have expertise in. You make grand pronouncements, and you don't follow through. Remember your claims about the smoking gun Minoan artifacts? Remember the native mummy? Remember the authentic confirmed Remal sword? It's all just a big joke. The thing that worries me about this one is your apparent belief that you have a green light to excavate something. As a professional exo-archaeologist, someone who actually has the qualifications to excavate something, that is very troubling. I've been doing real exo-archaeology for a long time. I will still be doing it long after people have stopped paying attention to you, and you've changed careers again. My prediction is that nothing will come of any of this. There will be no excavation, and we'll never actually see the photographs of these alleged giant bones. I would love for you to prove me wrong in the latter, but not the former. But I think it's more likely that you'll just move on to some other story once the attention is over and dies down, and you realize that you're in over your head. This is funny to me because, though it reads like a very reasonable approach, it does not sound at all like bold talk on the podcast.
Perhaps one could replace, "You jumped the gun, folks," with, "You caused me to research best practices when human remains may have been found, and to restate my entire approach in light of the research."
I can pretend that was my plan all along, and then you can say, "You jumped the gun, folks." Julian Bashir, I wrote the best practice law book for this field, and this is why it's so funny people assume something illegal. No one is paying attention to facts. Now watch the nuts come out for this one post. Thank you, but certainly you do not actually mean that. There's an entire field dedicated to what citizens should do in finding bones, possibly large or otherwise.
Perhaps you used the term off the cuff, and actually meant such occurrences in the field.
I'm aware that you published an indexed compilation of laws by state applicable to finding treasure, whereas cachology is not really a recognized scientific discipline or field. Here the issue is potential human remains, not treasure. And though I think it's a fair term coined for limited use, is there another book that applies better to human remains, or even to actual scientific fields? Can you mention this name?
There is nothing at all funny, or what I say odd. Someone might assume that a person intends to act outside the law simply because a person compiled a book of laws. Such a compilation only demonstrates that the person likely knows what the laws are in general, and that not the person intends to steadfastly adhere to them, right?
Again, the podcast conversation has a brazen shoot from the hip tone to that it sounds like two guys who share an inherent distrust of academia are willing and ready to investigate bones according to their methods.
This is why the statement above reads to me like a prudent change of course, rather than a revelation of what was already planned.
Michael, no, you still haven't written a law or a law book. You may have written a compilation of laws written by other people. The jury's out, but it definitely does not make you any sort of law expert. And also, what law schools and courses use it? You said it was a law school text, right? And for each of you and Jason, in his former headline stated, and his URL still states, and that is what you guys overreacted to. Well, thank you, Michael. But just to save some time going through the hundreds and hundreds of items I'm sure you've listed, could you just name one item? Come on, Michael. Help a buddy out.
Michael, now I'm feeling all chastised and rebuked, somewhat saddened, but also a little confused. It seems like such a very small ask for one fellow seeker of the truth to another. Can I not appeal to your magnanimous nature to grant me this one small boon?